Hey guys, welcome back to Dead End Street. We are doing a very special album ranking this time of my personal favorite group, um, Siouxsie and the Banshees. Now I know we did the Roxy Music one last year, and I claimed that they were my favorite band, but they are my favorite band in the winter. And in the fall, my favorite band is Siouxsie and the Banshees. So, um, very, very, very important band to me, and I've been waiting to do this one for a while. Um, I just wanted to do it in the fall because that's when you really can enjoy Susie and the Banshees best, I think, at least most of the material. And obviously, as you can see, we're joined by Dr. Byrne, who is going to rank along. And so, what's your history with the Banshees?
Well, unlike you, who remember exactly the date and what you're doing whenever you first heard the band, I don't exactly remember when. I would say it was for me, probably later than you, probably like college time. It's somehow involved with the whole goth thing. You just kind of start hearing some of the Cities and Dust and, some of those mean kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
um, that's kind of at the little goth club places. So I start hearing them then and just was like, oh, they're pretty cool. And they were pretty iconic, I feel like, to the goth movement. So yeah, it was back then. It was probably when I first started listening to them.
Yep. Yeah. We'll get into when I discovered them. That'll be a little part of our little adventure here. Um, this for the most part, is going to be a major love fest. um, as you guys are probably already know, if you watch the channel very often, you know. But Susie and the Banshees started in 1976. First record was 1978. Broke up 1995. Did a quick tour in 2002. That's pretty much the history of the Banshees. They didn't have a very, very, very long history, but um, 11 studio albums in all. And we're not going to count the live albums or any of the compilation records or anything like that. Just the 11 straight studio records. And I guess let's get started. Dr. Byrne, you want to do number 11?
Sure. My number 11 would be Superstition. Again, it's an okay album, but I obviously like Kiss Them for Me. That's a really cool tune. It's kind of, I thought it was a little overproduced, like the sound. So again, of course, Susie sounds great, of course, but a little like kind of synth poppy, kind of a little too much, I think, produced, but there are some good also songs like Drifter, I also thought was a pretty cool, almost like dream poppy kind of song as well. Um, Not sure how feel about Susie in yellow on the cover, because I always just, think of Susie as black. But I mean, she looks good, but just think black. But anyway, that would be my number 11.
Yeah. My number 11 is also going to be Superstition from 1991. Um, this is the only, like, if I use my 5-star rating scale, this will be the only album that is below 4 stars for me. Um, while their contemporaries like The Cure and the Bunny Men were like racking up all these hit singles, so the Banshees were still generally regarded inexplicably as like a cult band, especially here in the States. I always saw this record. It was their attempt to kind of get their due and get their, kind of get a hit single and stuff like that for themselves. There are great moments on the record. I mean, I think Shadow Time is great, and I think Ghost in You, not to be confused by the Psychedelic Furs Ghost in You. Um, Both really great songs, but I just feel like it's missing that Banshee's edge, like that danger and that suspense. Just a little bit too much pop sheen for me, a little too predictable for a Banshees record for me. Um, Kiss Them for me is their biggest hit here in the stage, which, if you really think about that, that's really crazy absurd. um, and I've always kind of held contempt for that song just for that reason. Um, Maybe that's unfair, but eh, but whatever. Superstition, number 11. So what's your number 10?
Number 10 for me was The Rapture. Again, it's good. It's good. Siouxsie sings really well. But for me, it was a little slow. Some of the songs were a little, they went on a little too long. And I actually just couldn't really get into it like some of the other albums. So that would be my number 10.
Okay. Yeah, number 10 is also for me, The Rapture. But I had to really wrestle with number 9 and 10.
Yeah, same, same.
I really didn't know which way to go with 9 and 10, but I decided to go with The Rapture, which I think is a great album. I put that at like a solid 4-star record. Um, Even though like it's an uneven record, it's the finale, it's their last record.
Right.
There's still plenty to wrap your arms around. I never will understand the choice of singles for this record, like "Oh Baby" and "Stargazer," um, "Tear Us Apart." They were, again. It sounds like they were trying to, with all the alt rock bands getting their hit singles and stuff. I feel like they were just kind of trying to, like, I can't fault them. I mean, they were like the first fucking one of the first post punk bands, and everybody else was kind of cashing in on what they had already done. Um, I think "Sick Child" is awesome. That was a great song. "Not Forgotten," another really great song. The title track, I know it's long, and I know a lot of people
11,
can't.
like 11-minute long. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people can't hang with it. I really like it. "Forever" was a really good song. It's nice, rare love song in the Banshees canon, and "Love Out Me" is a really heavy, like kind of rock song, which was kind of it's strange for them, but they do it well, and it's not cheesy. Plenty of mood changes, riveting musical instrumentation, wonderful vocal performances by Siouxsie throughout. Her voice sounds fantastic. And of the three albums with John Klein on guitar, I think this is his best guitar performance of the three records that he was on. Um, I think he kind of gets a little bit of an unfair shake because of the particular record. I think he's a better guitarist than he got a chance to showcase on these three records that he's with the Banshees, especially if you heard the Specimen stuff. Um, but it's mind-boggling to me that it's been 30 years since we had a Banshees record, but it's crazy. But it's true. Number 10, The Rapture. All right, what you got for 9?
Through the Looking Glass is their cover album. I would say it's like a hit or miss. Some of it's, I think, awesome. Obviously, I love The Passenger. This Dylan's This Wheel on Fire is really good. I like a song from The Edge of the World. Not a big jazz person, so like Billie Holiday for me isn't doing anything because I just don't. Not that it's not good, it's just I don't really like jazz. I know Jeff Buckley did that song too after hearing Susie do it.
Right.
But I would say just being a cover thing, a band, like all cover albums, to me, it didn't have that same cohesion. Like a lot of, well, we'll get into some of the other ones. I felt like a lot of the stuff just all gelled together. And this is just a lot of covers. So it's good. And they put their own spin on it, which is really cool. And again, we're comparing this to Susie. So like that, we have to keep that in mind as well. But I would give it a 9. Again, good, but probably not something I go back to all the time to hear that album.
Okay, cool. My number 9 might be surprising to some people, but I'm going to stick to it. Number 9 for me is going to be "Peep Show" from 1988. Um, I know it's one of the bigger selling albums in the States, but I think it's kind of like a two-faced record. Um, on one hand, there's some really elegant pop tracks like "Killing Jar" and "Turn to Stone," which kind of reminds me of like Brian Ferry a little bit. Yet it has like some of their more eerie tracks too, like "Scarecrow" and with its like galloping chorus, and the sprawling and gorgeous "Rhapsody," which is amazing. Susie's vocal performance on that is just mind blowing. Um, "Peekaboo" is one of the more known songs, which I think is a really creative song, and I think it I mean, they obviously took a lot of time to record it. If you listen to it, there's just so much going on. And it's really catchy. Um, I don't think it's one of their even top 40 of their best songs. Like, I think I can name 40 or 50 songs by them I like better than that. Um, I never really got on board for Burn Up. It's kind of a weird thing for them to do, I thought. Can't fault them for trying. Last Beat of My Heart, beautiful song. I think it was done better live. Um, great record. All in all, I think it's great. But it's my number 9 favorite Banshees record.
And my next one is Peep Show. Again, I like some of the songs in there. I really like Last Beat of My Heart. I think that's a really,
Mm-hmm.
really cool song. Killing Jar, I really like as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the songs are kind of dancey and edgy. The vocals again are amazing. Some of the sounds are a little more experimental. And I think that was the one after they had like a couple year hiatus, they kind of came back with like 3 years or something.
Yeah, well, it was 3 years since the last studio record. They had the covers album in between, but yeah, yeah,
Gotcha. Okay. But no, I think it was, I mean, cool. So, and it kind of varied, like Killing Jar, I thought was a little darker, and then some of the other stuff was a little like Peekaboo was a little more like musically interesting, kind of a nice variety. So it was good. I mean, I liked it. But it wouldn't be one of my top in terms of Susie.
right. Yeah, I agree with that. My number 8 is Through the Looking Glass, which um, we have it ranked closely, but my opinion on it is a little different. I think I have much higher opinion of it, I think. Um, so I mean, let's see, my favorite group who does like a covers record of all my other favorite groups. So like there was really no way it was going to go wrong. You know what I mean? So you got the Banshees covering Roxy, Iggy, Sparks, Kraftwerk, Television. You know what I mean? They even threw in some Billie Holiday, The Doors, and even a Disney song for good measure. They do "Trust in Me" from Jungle Book, which is the one that the snake sings, and they put on this crazy, amazing Banshee spin on it that only they could pull off. No one else could pull that off. Um, they brilliantly transform every one of them into a Banshee song. Like, I mean, you're listening to it. If you didn't know those were covers, you would just think they were Siouxsie and the Banshee songs if you were not familiar with the songs. I think the horns on Passenger give the song a totally different character than when Iggy did it. Um, John Valentine's Carruthers, who is the guitarist at this point, really does some really great guitar work on the Roxy cover of Sea Breezes. Susie's vocal in Strange Fruit is just transcendent. The Billie Holiday track, she totally owns it. Even Little Johnny Jewel from Television gets a great Banshees makeover. Easily my favorite covers album of all time. And as far as the Banshees go, it's my number 8.
So
What
my
do you got
next
at number 7?
Tinderbox. So that might be surprising. I know that's considered sort of the one of
Woo!
the goth albums of, out there.
That's spicy take.
I know,
Woo!
I know. I figured that one people be like, "Boy, that should be the top one," but it's good. It's good. I did feel like it did feel a little bit more commercial compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Not that it's commercial. I
Well,
do not like Candyman. Do not like that song at all. It annoys me.
okay.
I don't know why, it just does. I mean, Cities and Dust is obviously good. It's a good song and stuff like that, but I actually like the Swedish Chill a little bit more. Again, it's very, very well produced, but maybe too much for me. I like them a little rawer, a little
Mhm.
edgier, a little bit less produced. Even though,
I
of course, you hear
understand that.
Susie's vocals really great, but but again, it's good, but to me, it wasn't as edgy, avant-garde as some of their other stuff. But again, if there wasn't those other things, I might be saying, "Oh, this is a really great album," but there's so much other stuff, good stuff to compare it to. So that would be next one, but probably not going to be sit well with all the typical more goth folk out there who might be kind of hate me for that.
Yeah, you're gonna get some woo. You're gonna get into that one. But you know what? I know where you're coming from there. I don't think it's as crazy as other people are gonna say it is, but so number 7 for me is going to be Join Hands from '79, the second Banshees record. Honest to God, I wanted to put it higher. Um, but the truth is, it really only has 6 real songs on it. So um, if you don't count the Lord's Prayer, which really no one should count, and Mother, Oh Mine Papa, which is really cool. It's like it's a German cover containing a music box with Siouxsie singing German over top of it. It's cool. But like so like what you're really left with is like 6 really, really great songs on there, but it, it's not a full album worth of great songs. So that's where I stand on that, and that's why it's not higher than 7. So um and a lot of people kind of consider that this record kind of like the sophomore jinx, where it's nowhere even close to the album in front of it or the way after. And I totally disagree with that. I think that this album stands with all the early Banshees records, very much so. Um, I think that even John Mackay, the original guitarist, he claimed that the producer rejected some of the other songs that he had for the record, which I think may have ended up on some later recordings of his. But his phased out the guitar riffs on like Regal Zone and Playground Twist are just classic Mackay. I mean, if you as far as post punk guitar goes, I mean, you got like John Mackay, John McGeoch before the Banshees when he was in Magazine, and you have Keith Levine and the guys from Wire. Other than that, I mean, that's who invented post punk guitar playing. I mean, and all of them kind of learned from television in a way. But like, I don't think that John Mackay gets the credit he deserves as an amazing guitar player. Icon, the song really kind of showcases the rhythm section of Steven Severin and Kenny Morris, which they were great. Placebo Effect is probably my favorite song on the record. I think that is just a killer, killer song. Everything about it I love. Such punishing guitar and drums on that, and Siouxsie just bellowing over top of it. This is the original lineup swan song. They only did 2 albums together, but man, it's smashing. The great, great album. And that 4.5 stars, number 7. So that means we have like 6 4.5 or 5-star records. So there we go.
And that's why it gets Nail is when it gets harder because Nail like all the albums I'm like, oh, these are all awesome. So it's
Yeah.
when this is when it starts to get for me a lot harder. Where some of them might be between two. These are like, oh, these are some freaking awesome albums. But my next one is Join Hands. I really, really like Join Hands. It's gritty. It's has a punk feel. I would actually, in my head, I kind of felt like it was like industrial the beginning without actually being industrial, but better because you can hear Susie's vocals. It's done better. It's dark. It's chaotic. The themes are like death, torture, terror. And then there's like the Lord's Prayer in their own little funky way. I
Hmm.
love Icon. I just think it's just a, yeah, really gritty, kind of cool album. So awesome album.
So, all right. So my number 6. Um, this might be a spicy take because I know some people have this like way higher, but people might find this to be shocking because it was the first album with John McGeoch, and I'm such a maniac about John McGeoch on guitar. But number 6 is Kaleidoscope from 1980. Um, it's a 5-star record, so I mean, it's kind of hard. Like there's 6 of them. So okay, so here's my reasoning. So you got the Banshees kind of transform themselves after Morris and Mackay leave the band. They bring in Budgie from the Slits on drums. And before they find John McGeoch, they're bringing in a couple of other guitarists, including Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, to come in and start doing tracks on the album before they actually officially hire John McGeoch. So John McGeoch, I think, is only on 5 tracks on the album. So, and I think Steve Jones plays on 3, and I think there's a couple that don't have guitar. It opens up with Happy House, which is like the quintessential Banshees intro riff. Like, um, and what a way to introduce the world's greatest guitarist to the world, in Banshees land. Um, it's funny because my kids say that when they hear it, when they first hear Happy House every year, they know that it must be fall. It's they've grown up just every time the first chill comes in September that the Banshees slog is coming. So um, then we can move on further into the record. Trophy, the third track, amazing, an amazing track. And when you're mixing in like the sax and these off kilter guitar riffs, an amazing drum and bass line by Stephen and Budgie with really gruesome lyrics by Siouxsie. But so exciting. Um, Clock Face is just a great instrumental that builds up and then just explodes at the end. The Kraftwerk influence starts rearing its head right there in like Lunar Camel. A lot of like drum machines and droning synths. The acoustic guitars and the throbbing bass from Severin on Christine are just mesmerizing. Um, when I was younger, I kind of didn't see what was so great about Christine. I kind of, from hearing it all the time, I mean, like you said, they go into the golf clubs and you kind of got killed by Christine after all. But like as I gotten older, I've really kind of grown to appreciate it more than I did when I was younger. Um, Desert Kisses is strangely beautiful, and Steve Jones does a bang up job on Paradise Place. Great song. And Skin. I think he plays on Skin also, if I'm not correct. You may want to, if you want to correct me on that, I'm not sure somebody, but I'm pretty sure he played on Skin. But it's a pivotal record for the band. I mean, they were either going to get lost in the punk thing or they were going to, jettison forward, and they decided to move forward. Pretty brave move, I thought. Kaleidoscope, number 6.
Now's when it starts to get tough because again, the
Mm-hmm.
albums are all so freaking awesome. I mean, my one would still is still going to stand as my one no matter what. Probably my
Mm-hmm.
two, but some of the other ones in between are a little bit interchangeable, I would say, because they're all so freaking awesome. And it probably
Mm-hmm.
depends on when I'm listening to it and what exactly how I would rate them. But my next one, again, these are all pretty close, would be Kiss in the Dream House. Freaking awesome album. Ethereal, melodic. It's kind of experimental, a little psychedelic feel to it. Some of the standout songs for me are like Fireworks, Slow Dive. Yeah, I mean, it's just freaking awesome. Apparently it was what fueled the like Siouxsie and the Banshees were all fueled by like alcohol and drugs as they made this album, apparently, is what I've read. So, well, I guess it worked.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, hey, sometimes it works.
For me, number 5 is going to be Hyena, um, which is weird because it's it seems to be kind of like a divisive album amongst the Banshees faithful for some reason. But I adore it. I mean, I think it's amazing. I think Robert Smith did a really great job. He fit in well. Um, that being said, I mean, he had 2 full tours. I mean, he took over for John Mackay temporarily when he quit, and then he took over for John McGeoch when he quit. So it wasn't like he didn't know the Banshees guitar sound. So he kind of just slid right in, and he did a great job creatively joining in with them. Dazzle is just a beautiful journey in itself. Man, it's um, the full orchestra they have within the song. I mean, it's pretty hefty undertaking. Belladonna is one of my favorite Severin bass lines. It's just amazing. It just floats across the top of the other instruments so effortlessly. Um, the cinematic "Bring Me the Head of the Preacher Man" um, is as vicious as it is infectious. Blow down, blow the house down, which is like kind of a buried deep track within the Banshees canon, which I never hear people talk about it, but I just think it's like one of their most amazing songs. Like the build up, and that breakdown in the middle where it gets quiet and then it just soars to the end of the song. It's just amazing to me. Just a whirling dervish of suspense and magic. It's just crazy. Um, One of my favorite songs ever is Swimming Horses with
Oh,
its
yep,
choppy
yep.
piano
So good.
line. Um, I'm pretty sure that was something that Robert came up with. And he liked it so much that he kind of took it and changed it up just a tiny bit and turned it into six different ways on Head on the Door. Um,
Which is one of my favorite Cure songs too.
it's a
So
great Cure song.
yeah.
But for the record, I think it's Swimming Horses. Swimming Horses is superior just because of um, Siouxsie's amazing vocal. Um, and I'm not positive. I have to look. I should have checked to make sure before I say this. I'm willing to bet that Swimming Horses is one of Severin's lyrical contributions. There seems to, I'll get to that when I get to one of these other records because there's a very distinct difference between Severin's lyrics and Siouxsie's lyrics. Siouxsie tends to be a little bit, especially in the early days, a little bit more vicious, a little bit more gruesome sometimes and scary. And Severin seems to be a little bit more sensual and a little bit more um, fantastical. Um, but I mean, Hyena's just amazing. It's an amazing record, and I some people kind of poo-poo it. I just don't get it. Um, you know, I great to me. Number four, I mean number five, Hyena, 1984.
And that's my number four. And kind of similar to stuff that what you said, Swimming Horses is just freaking awesome. I just absolutely love that song. Oh my gosh. And I feel like I've heard it in other places. Like I feel like other, I don't know. Well, Susie are, there's, and the Banshees are so influential that on so many different bands. So who knows? But I feel like I've heard that like beginning of Swimming Horses. In addition, I feel like it's been somewhere else too, but I can't
Mm-hmm.
think of where. But
Like all three of
Dazzle,
them,
what's that?
like on six different ways, but
It
it's
could have
true.
maybe in six different ways because that is one of my favorite songs too. So I don't
Uh,
know. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. But I'm like, I've heard that before.
mhm.
Dazzle's freaking awesome. I like their Dear Prudence. I'm of course excited because Robert Smith's in there. And yeah, I mean it's dreamy, it's dark, it's innovative, it's different. And it's yeah, I just think it's just a super cool album. So I have only positive things to say about it.
Cool. All right, I'm going to go with my number four, which I'm going to do a little bit of a spicy take here too. My number
Mm.
four, oh, yours is really spicy.
Yeah, mine was very much so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So my number four is going to be Tinderbox from 1985. So I'm not too far off from you, but I do think it's amazing. Um, I think that we'll get to why, but I mean, you're right. This record is much more polished, much more produced than any of the other previous Banshees records. You are absolutely correct on that. But I think it does work. I mean, I think they couldn't keep doing it. They had to do something to change. So it wasn't a bad move. It sounds perfect almost. I mean, and part of it is too, I think, because you have um, Budgie is such an exceptional drummer, and I think this is the record where he really gets to show that, like throughout the entire record. This is also the first and only studio record of all original material to feature John Valentine Carruthers on guitar, who steps into some very big shoes here, following Mackay McGeoch and Robert Smith. Um, he was formerly of Clock DBA, a very cool group in their own right. Um, Rumor has it that his personality didn't gel with the band, but I mean, his stint wasn't very long. But but the proof is in the pudding here. I mean, it was a spectacular guitar performance on this record. Candyman opens the record. I agree. It's not my favorite song on the record. Um, but it does kind of grab you. To start the record, I would have started the album with a little bit more of a moody piece. I think you're right. I think the Swedish Chill is just amazing. Um, I also think that This Unrest is just the thought. Also another amazing, amazing track. 92 Degrees, amazing. Um, I just think that all in all, I mean, it is a 5-star record. I think it's fantastic. But like you, I kind of like my Banshees with a little bit more edge
Yeah.
and a little bit more danger and a little bit more suspense. Not that those things aren't on this record, but they're just a little bit glossy.
Yeah.
So that's why it's number 4, not higher. Number 3,
Is Kaleidoscope. I like this album a lot. To me, it's like kind of like a carnival of like sounds, emotions. There's a lot going on. I believe this is the album that really influenced Robert Smith. He said that this album was like really pivotal for him. I love Christine. I think even though that was overplayed for a time, I just love it. And I love Happy House, obviously. Yeah, it's experimental. And I think I also read too that with this album, the band, like Siouxsie started to experiment from just singing to doing like other stuff, like playing other instruments. And the band, I
mm-hmm.
think, were like taking turns. I think I read somewhere like trying to play different
Yeah, there was some like
instruments.
instrument flipping here and there, I think,
Yeah,
too.
which I think is
Yeah,
kind of cool. Because it does have that like experimental sort of feel to it. But I don't know. I
yeah,
think
it
it
does.
works and it's kind of raw and cool and like a little psychedelic-y, and yeah, I just think it's kind of a really cool album, so I really liked it.
Yeah, all right. So my number 3 is going to be The Scream, the debut record from 1978. Um, I think this is one of the greatest debut records ever. Um, so this is 1978, their first record. You're right smack dab in the middle of the punk movement, and the Banshees are already post-punk. Like they're done. Like there's
Right.
you have little bits and pieces of punk here, but they've already moved on, while everybody else is still kind of jumping on with the Clash and the Pistols, the Damned, who were all great, but the Pistols broke up. The Damned kind of started branching off to other things other than punk, and the Clash was a punk band for what, 2 albums? Like the actual punk bands moved on, while there was a whole bunch of other punk bands who were forming and propping up and everything. Not that not all of them were bad; a lot of them were good, um, but my point is the Banshees saw the future and knew already. Um, so, I mean, so you get the first crop of post punk records. You have Real Life by Magazine, first issue by Pill, Wires, Pink Flag, and the Banshees, The Scream. Um, Ushering in basically the greatest era in rock music history, in my opinion. I mean, just what was going on in England in the late 70s after the punk movement and before the new wave movement, that to me is that's my wheelhouse. That's where I love to live. Um, it's amazing that it was recorded in 1978. Like the angular and unsettling guitar playing by John Mackay is just so futuristic and just so way. People are still doing that, and they're like and like um, these new pseudo punk post punk bands that are out now. You know what I mean? Um, whether it's like a chiming riff like in Mirage or like the pummeling a riff like in Suburban Relapse. Mackay's sound is just uniquely singular, crazily copied, but it's just something about his playing. You know, it's him. Um, the rhythm section of Kenny Morris and Steven Severin on Metal Postcard is just awesome. I love Metal Postcard, and I know it's kind of like this track that, like, rarely talked about, but like it's one of those songs when I play, I just play it. I repeat, repeat, repeat. Um, Amazing, amazing song. I mean, kind of, it's something like something Can would have conjured up. You can hear like the Can influence. Amazing track, and then of course there's Switch, which is the epic closing track. So winding and suspenseful. I haven't even mentioned Siouxsie in describing this record yet. And she's still in like this early version of herself, and she hasn't even really figured out how to use her voice, but she's just so ferocious on this record. She hasn't even like figured out what her vocal style is yet, but still commands your full attention when she's singing. Yeah, like I said, one of the greatest debut records of all time, the Banshees Scream, 1978.
I wonder if we're gonna have the same one, number one or not. Well, I guess we'll find out.
Right, it's possible.
Possible, we'll
It,
see.
it wouldn't be the first time we did that.
No, we have the same like last two. We'll see. Well, my next one is the Scream. I think the Scream is awesome. Even though Siouxsie, as you said, kind of was a little more in the background with her voice, it to me was just like wow for a debut album. It was like raw, dirty, like they have the song "Nicotine Stain." To me, it was like dirty, like a nicotine stain. That whole album. It was just like wow. It's got that dark Helter Skelter song, that kind of vibe is Helter Skelter. Hong Kong Garden is just freaking awesome. Jigsaw feeling, Carcass. Like for me, I just thought the sound was cool. It was just, yeah, just you could hear all the instruments really vividly. Like it just was fun. Kind of like reminds you of like, oh, this is like I'm going to like something real edgy kind of concert. Like this is that feel of you get from that concert, from that kind of the way they play. Yeah, I just think it's awesome, and I can't believe that was a debut album.
Yeah. Little side note on the Scream, which is funny because some people may be watching this and hearing us talk about some of the records, and they're going, "Oh, well, that record, that song is not on the album." And that's that because I know the comments are going to come, and that's cool, and I get it. In America, Hong Kong Garden is on the Scream. Um, for you guys on the other side, it was a single apart from the Scream. So if you look, I have my promotional copy of the Scream, and I found out later, like when the internet took place, that Hong Kong Garden is not the opening track on the Scream. And now that I know that, I can't get it out of my head because now it kind of ruins the succession of songs. So now knowing that, I understand that Pure should be the opening track of the record, and that makes a lot more sense. This is like 20 years ago I figured that out. But hey, regardless, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's a killer album, killer album.
Well, you always know the details. I did not know that was the difference between
The British
the
and
albums and
American.
yeah, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
well, I mean, it's the same thing too. Like we'll get to that in a second. Well, let me just tell you what my number two is.
All right.
And I had to grapple with this because these are just about my two favorite records. And number two is going to be "A Kiss in the Dream House" by the Banshees. Obviously by the Banshees, but from 1982. I came to this close to putting it number one, and I'll tell you why it's not number one. Because although my two favorite songs of all time are on this record, there's two songs on here that I think probably should have been B-sides in favor of a couple of the B-sides, like Cannibal Roses and stuff. Here, let me get straight to the point here. John McGeoch was still in the band at this point, who I think is the greatest guitarist of all time. And I think having three songs on this record that he does not play on or barely plays on, I think hurts the record. You have the greatest guitarist of all time, use them. So, and I'll get to that point, and let me clear that point up in a second. But this record is a dreamlike jamboree. of colors and psychedelia. Um, I think this is a collection of Siouxsie's finest vocal performances of any album. Um, while her bandmates turn in yet another masterful performance. Opening track Cascade and the side two opener Melt are possibly my two favorite songs ever. Both I just think are absolutely magical. Cascade is soaring and sensual with insane guitar work by John McGeoch. Insane. Just the little plucks all the way down to from the opening riff with Severin's bass to the soaring chorus and the little guitar, acoustic guitar plucks with the echo in that bridge in the middle. It's just amazing. Melt has like that little bit of like Italian folk going on in there. I don't even, whatever it is, it's amazing. Sounds like he tricked us into thinking he's playing a mandolin, whether he is or not. I don't know. But it's just attached to this just beautiful tapestry of sound with Siouxsie's most incredible vocal performance and with Severin's beautifully like erotic and violent lyrical images. Goosebumps every single time I listen to it, 30 some odd years on. Painted Bird comes in after that at the perfect time with this amazing upbeat guitar riff. Green Fingers introduces a recorder to the party. The fact that they pulled this off after Juju, to me, is just a wonderful testament to their creative fortitude. So what I was going to say is like, so you have like Circle and Cocoon, which are really cool songs. I really do like them. But you had songs like Cannibal Roses, which was the B-side to Slow Dive. Now, I'm not sure, maybe the song wasn't written in time for the record, so I may be just speculating. Maybe it was recorded as a B-side for Melt after the fact. I mean, for Slow Dive after the fact. But had either Cocoon or Circle been replaced with Cannibal Roses, which I think is just one amazing, amazing song. This record may have been number one. But to me, this is just the post-punk version of Sgt. Pepper's, an absolute classic in every single way. And this is the second full record of the Siouxsie, Severin, Budgie, McGeoch lineup, sadly. And I wish there was more to that lineup, but there sadly is not. And I was going to say, there are some copies of Kiss in the Dream House that do contain fireworks. And I know some people on the other side are saying fireworks is, yes, it was a single released on its own. But there are copies of Kiss in the Dream House that contain fireworks, which is an amazing song. So if you took like Cocoon and Circle and replaced them with Cannibal Roses and Fireworks on all copies of this album, it would have been number one. But as it stands, it's number two. So let's go ahead and agree on our number one.
Juju. This is to me like this rather than when people say Tinderbox should be like the goth album. To me, this is like what good goth music should sound like. Siouxsie, I think this is the first one. I feel like you really got like she grew into the vocals. She like completely figured it out. It's awesome. She's witchy. There's Halloween vibes. There's, it's just dark. Probably one of the first really dark wave kind of albums. Such great songs. Spellbound and Arabian Nights. I like Halloween. Like it's just cool. It's edgy. It's intense, dark. Everything I could ever want in an album. It's just like perfect.
I'm going to second that in the perfect category. Yep, Juju, number one. To me, this is an album that I hold very, very dear to my heart. for a few reasons. One, it's my all-time favorite record by my all-time favorite group by my all-time favorite lineup of my all-time favorite group. The other reason is, so in my early years, from the ages of like 3 until I was about 15, I was like, metal, hair metal, classic rock, you know what I mean? That was like my thing. And like by the time I got to be 16, I started veering into, I'd already had a couple Cure records. I started to get like New Order, Smiths. I started going to that lane. So when I was senior high school, being a senior in high school, me and a couple of friends of ours skipped class, cut school, and went over to a friend of ours' house who was homesick for the day. And, she had like, the black hair and sticking up and shaved on the side. And I mean, I knew what she was into, but I just never really heard any of it. So we were all hanging out, and she takes out this cassette and puts it into her tape deck, and it was Juju, and it just blew my mind. It was like it was life changing. Like my life was different from that point on after hearing Juju by Siouxsie and the Banshees. I never heard anything like it, and it changed what I wanted to be, how I wanted to look, who I wanted to hang with, what music I wanted to write, how I thought of music. Like I didn't write anymore because I wanted to make it. I wrote because I wanted to feel what I felt when I heard Juju. So my favorite drummer of all time is Budgie, like my favorite guitarist is McGeoch, my favorite singer is Siouxsie, my favorite bassist is Severin. And they're all at the height of their powers, all at one time, all in one spot, all on one record. It's not an emotional record, which is I'm describing it like this. It's like this amazing emotional experience. It's not. It's like the furthest thing from that.
Right.
It's like a clinic in like musical suspense and ferocity and the confidence that this band has on this record is just astounding.
But I think there's something I can tap into, like that. Like, yeah, it's not emotional, but I feel like
No.
for like say people like us who are maybe a little on the edge, it tapped into something different, like inside, and so something I don't know, it just something, and it just like clicked. Like, yup, that's what I don't know. It was something like that for me when I heard an album like that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think kind of like, if I put it in these terms, so if like Joy Division was my cave, right? So like Joy Division, you go to your cave and you just kind of, and if The Cure was my blanket, you know what I mean, that you wrapped yourself in to kind of like, because what Robert was talking about, emotionally you related to on a level that most other people you knew did not. If the Smiths, and then the Smiths were your compass, your emotional compass, you know what I mean? Well, you feel this way, well, react this way, you know what I mean? And if that's all is true, then the Banshees were my armor. They kind of gave me the confidence to be the weirdo. I wasn't afraid to be the weirdo anymore, and I did not care what anyone thought anymore at all. Like, I just did not care. And I'll be forever grateful for that. But hey, the music, so you got Spellbound. It's just amazing. I mean, no matter how good of a guitarist you are, I challenge you to try and play Spellbound straight through without flubbing one time. Not once. Play it straight through without flubbing. It's very, very, very hard. I'm not a great guitarist, but know that that's very hard to play. Into the Light is just hypnotizing. It's just from another world. John McGeoch has what he's called a gizmo gadget. That's literally the name. And it hooked on your guitar, and it just created like almost like an EBO effect, but you had a little bit more control over what you were playing. And that's what he uses on that album, on that song. And it's some of the greatest guitar playing I've ever heard. So innovative. Arabian Nights is throbbing and twisted, and some of the stuff that Siouxsie says on there is really eye-opening, and that's definitely a Siouxsie lyrical song. Arabian Nights is definitely a Siouxsie lyric. Monitor is so tribal and stomping. I don't know. I have to look at the set list. I mean, back in the day, they should have closed almost every show with that song. It's just, it brings the whole house down. Siouxsie's lyrics in Night Shift are downright terrifying. Terrifying. And Budgie's drumming with that ride cymbal that just hovers over the entire song throughout the whole song. Sin in My Heart is dissonant and defiant and vicious and still somehow sexy. It's just an amazing song. And again, McGeoch's guitar playing on that. Siouxsie plays a little guitar on it in the simplest way, just 3 notes, but just adds so much to it. All 4 at their height of their powers. It's just, I mean, I could go on and on all night about it. So I'll stop there. But if you haven't heard Juju and you are into music that's eerie and weird and full of suspense and beauty in a very terrifying way, then you got to hear Juju. You just do.
The Halloween album.
It is. Yeah, it really kind of set the stage for a lot of what came after it, as you know, Siouxsie likes to call it goth, GOFF. It's not a term that they like, but the truth is between them and Bauhaus, like that's kind of where the seeds were kind of planted, and everybody else kind of took the ball and ran with it. So yeah, the Banshees, the best.
So good.
So I mean, when you're done with your ranking here, after going, do you like the Banshees more now after doing this, or did you already know how great they were?
I hadn't really listened to some of the other stuff as much, except for the main stuff. So I got like, ooh, like I would say more, definitely more, because it kind of made me keep listening to stuff and like, oh yeah, this is like really cool. Like I haven't really listened to this album for a while, so definitely more, without a doubt.
So, like, which album did you find that you liked more than you thought you did?
Good question. I mean, I knew about the first. Probably some of my mid ones, like Kaleidoscope, maybe not as much before, Hyena. Some of those, I would say, Chris in the Dream House, those kind of mid ones that were high up, but a little bit more, like my first 2 were there, but I started listening to them more, I'm like, oh yeah, they're actually pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have to say, I think like, for some, when I was young, I thought Peep Show was like, because it was, when I first got into them, that was the current album. So that was like the newest one. I mean, I got into them in time to be able to jump on board when Superstition came out. And when that came out, I was like, what the? What's going on? I found this awesome band. What are they doing now? But yeah. So, all right, guys. So we did Siouxsie and the Banshees. So we have 1991 coming up. I'm going to do the top 25 albums for that. Me and Dr. Byrne are talking about possibly, maybe soon, maybe even over the course of the fall, maybe even in the winter. We'll see, but we might do Bauhaus. I'm going to, I don't know, I'll ask you off camera, but I don't know, I'm going to do the Chameleons That's 5 albums,
Oh, that's also be a good. Yeah, I do like the Chameleons.
including the new one. But yeah, so eventually Chameleons will get done. I promise you, I swear to God, one of these days, the church one is going to be finished. I have about notes on about 14 of them. I still have 10 or so to go.
My God.
It's a massive
Oh
discography,
my gosh.
but it's a labor of love. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any comments and you want to hear us do a discography that you haven't heard us do yet, and if you haven't watched any of our other ones, I mean, who have we done so far? We done
We
like
did
Love and Rocket.
Roxy, Love and Rockets. We
Um,
did we did a new. I think we did the newest Cure album, didn't we?
we did the Furs.
We did the Furs. We did the Furs.
Yeah, so I mean, if you go in, I'll put some links on here too, guys. If you want to go back and check, I did one for Suede, and I did top 25 albums from 1971 all the way up to 1990 so far. So if you ever want to watch any of those, and like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Check us out on all social media: Facebook, Instagram, X, and until next time, see you next time on Dead End Street. See ya.